Welcome to the Celebrity Gourmet Podcast, where we feature top bakery and specialty food entrepreneurs from around the world and share stories and tips on how to create a successful life in the baking world.
Hi, I'm Odette Danello, the host of Celebrity Gourmet Podcast, where I interview bakery owners, especially women, to hear how they live their remarkable lives with financial freedom or running their businesses. I want to encourage you to go back and check out past episodes where I interview Natalie Blyfus, founder and CEO of Pie Bar, Katie Pope of Blue Star Donuts in Portland, Marlene Getzler of Freeport Bakery in Sacramento, and Olga Sagan of Pierogi in Seattle. I have here my sweet friend Patti Stobaugh, founder and owner of PattiCakes Bakery in Conway, Arkansas. Patti started her company in 2006 with the goal of giving her customers the feeling of visiting grandma's house and enjoying homemade, delicious, yummy food. She now has 4 locations, 2 bakeries, and 2 restaurants. Stoby's is the name. And she'll give us the scoop of what makes PattiCakes Bakery and Stoby's restaurant so darn delicious. Today's episode is brought to you by Celebrity Gourmet Ventures, Inc., where Celebrity Cake Studio and Dragonfly Cakes are family-owned and operated bakery in Tacoma, Washington. We've been baking joy into our desserts and cakes for 25 years. We have received numerous awards, and we are so proud of our vibrant team of cake designers and bakers that help you celebrate your sweet moments. Please visit us at celebritycakestudio.com or dragonflycakes.com or email me at odette@celebritygourmet. Before introducing our guests today, I wanted to give a big thank you to the Retail Bakers of America, without which I would never have met Patti, because that's how we met. We were on the board together. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to Patti. Hi, Patti.
Hey, Odette. How are you?
How are you? Patti and I just saw each other in Anaheim at the
IDDBA, International Dairy Deli Bakery Association.
Yes.
Big mouthful.
Big mouthful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that we actually sat together and saw Tom Hanks.
We did.
So
Very
Patti,
good seat.
so good. And we got
thanks to you.
But so tell me how you got started with the bakery and what's inspired you.
Okay. So in a quick nutshell, our youngest son had left for college, and I was a corporate accountant, and I was just tired of the corporate world. So I decided to quit my job because financially college was taken care of. So, I really didn't have to work anymore. I found myself in that very fortunate position of not having to work, but I wanted to work. I would not do well. My energy level's about like yours, Odette, and you wouldn't do well staying at home either. So we actually live in the city of Conway, Arkansas, which is just about 30 minutes north of Little Rock. And then about 45 minutes on up the road, heading toward Northwest Arkansas, is a city named Russellville. And that's where our second restaurant is. So the first one was in Conway that my husband started before we got married. He started that in 1980. And then in 1984, Stoby's Russellville opened. Well, I was up there working, running the hostess station. And it was so fun because I wasn't worried about human resources. I wasn't worried about, did every board member have their financial packet in the board meeting, right, ready for the board meeting tomorrow morning? Just the whole bit. The pressure was gone. And I stepped outside, and just across our parking lot was a little cake shop. And the gal that owned it, her name was Marilyn, she put out a sign that said, liquidation auction on Monday, everything must go. So I just marched my happy little self on over there and said, what are you doing? Because we needed more commercial kitchen space at Stoby's in Russellville. And so I'm like, what's up? Can I make you an offer now? Or can you name me a price so that you won't go to
I'll buy
auction Monday?
everything. Right.
So she named me a price. I called my husband because we have this deal where we won't spend more than, I think it's either $500 or $1,000 without talking to each other.
Yes.
Um, so I called him and he's like, okay, for more commercial kitchen space, that'll be fine. Yeah. So just wrote up something, signed it with Marilyn, um, and wrote her a check. And Monday, my husband and I went in there, but over the weekend, on Saturday night, Sunday, I was just telling him I could have a little cookie shop there. And I'm so excited. And I can do all the things that my German grandmother taught me to bake. And all I wanted was a cookie shop. That was it. And then to do all of our desserts at the restaurant. So my husband walked in and he looked around and he's like, well, I can tell you one thing. We're not putting our name on this place. And I said, but I can make it cute. I promise I can make it cute. And he's just like shaking his head at me. He said, I'll tell you what, can you make it cute for $2,500? I'm thinking, no, but I'm like, challenge accepted. And at the end of me being done, if you don't think it's cute enough, then I'll just put the whole idea to bed. We'll have this as commercial kitchen space.
Right.
Life was good. So I rolled my sleeves up. I wore my fingerprints off my fingers just from all the manual labor that I did in there. But it worked. I got it done. And I only spent $1,600. That was the kicker. So I'm telling you, I was borrowing and stealing everything like remnant materials and making it cute. And I spent more money on fabric, making cute little awnings for the windows than I did anything. But
you made the curtains?
Yeah.
You made the curtain?
Yes. Yeah. My German grandmother, I'm telling you, she taught me everything. I could go live in the woods by myself for 30 days, I bet, and live just fine. I mean, she was so resourceful. So my husband came in and he's like, well, I can't let you open this with these dumpy pie cases she has in here. So we went case shopping. Well, you know how expensive cases are. So, yeah. So anyhow, we got cases, we opened up, and the business just took off like crazy.
You cooked? You baked?
Yeah. I had 2 employees when I started, and one of them was Marilyn, the girl I bought out. She did the decorated cakes. The other gal was Phyllis, who worked with me baking at Stoby's. And so Phyllis and Marilyn got in a fight one day. I was in San Antonio with my mom.
A fist fight?
No, we're not that redneck, but
hair pulling? No,
it could have been. But Marilyn slammed her keys down on the counter and said, "You've got a wedding cake this weekend. Good luck." Well, number one, I didn't want to do decorated cakes. I did not want to at all. And this was before the internet. You just couldn't pull up a YouTube video about how to decorate a cake.
Right. What year was this?
2006.
Oh, this is before the YouTube.
Yes, before YouTube. Yes. Yeah. I mean, the internet was barely alive, but YouTube was definitely not there. So we just asked a bunch of questions. I came home from San Antonio. We just asked some people a bunch of questions, and we did that cake. Phyllis and I did that cake, and it didn't fall. And it was actually
rough ice?
No, it was a smooth ice. But I had learned the Viva paper towel trick, which is, what they teach back in the day, which.
Go ahead and explain what that is to our listeners, because.
Okay. So I'm sorry. I expect everybody's, I forget we're recording this, Odette. So the Viva paper towel trick is you do your icing, you get it as smooth as possible using your spatulas. And then you take the Viva that has no design on it, and then either you can use your hand or you can use a fondant paddle that's real smooth on the bottom, and you just smooth the cake. And it does a wonderful job when you're a home baker. It's not something you can really use in commercial production.
Or with whipped cream.
Or with whipped cream. Oh, that would be a hot mess. So that's how I got into the decorated cake business. And then our wedding business just went crazy. Well, after 4 years, 3 years actually, I decided to open up a bakery in Conway next to our Stoby's restaurant in Conway. And it took about a year. We owned some property right behind Stoby's that had an old rent house on it. So we renovated that, made it a cute little bakery. And after I was open in Conway about 6 months, I decided to sell the Russellville location. I still own the building, um, but it was just Russellville is a smaller town,
Yeah.
um, and it was just to Conway consumed all my time. I mean, when we opened, the bakery took off like crazy. And I just didn't, I was wearing myself out and wearing myself too thin. So I sold the Russellville location. Um, and then just concentrated on Conway. So we rocked along. In 2016, our restaurant in Conway burned down.
Oh, I
And
remember that.
yeah, that was so horrible. And it was all to do with a faulty motor. It was nothing that we had done. It was the manufacturer of the motor. I mean, they were the
Motor of
ones
what?
that it was one of the vent motors that was over the vent hood. So,
Oh,
you don't have a vent hood in the bakery, I'm sure. You
no,
don't fry things, right?
no.
We don't fry things either. Um, but it's the motor that sits on top of the roof that pulls all of the exhaust up from above the fryers or the grill. This one was above the fryer. So when that started on fire on the ceiling, then it dropped embers down
Down.
into the fryer, which then, well, the building had been primarily food service. It's in a residential neighborhood right down the street from one of our, we have 3 colleges in our town, from one of the university in our town. Um, is this a great location? I mean, it's just great. But once that oil, once the oil caught on fire, then it just flashed across the inside of the ceiling in the restaurant. It was 6:30 in the morning. We only had one customer in there. So they were able to get everybody out, but it was a total loss.
Yes.
So during that time, things really, I mean, we had to step up our wedding cakes and take a lot more than we normally did. We doubled what we were willing to take. And I think that couple of years of rebuilding,
You had to
and
demolish
just,
that building. I remember when that happened.
yeah,
It
we
was
tore it down
demoed.
and came back brand new. Yeah, yeah. So somebody had to be bringing in some money. I mean, we had good insurance, but insurance doesn't cover everything by any
Yeah.
means. So during that time, we were just doing so many wedding cakes that I got really super burned out on.
Yeah.
So when COVID hit, I was just done with wedding cakes. I was done with, I mean, you know how this is. 99% of your customers are fabulous. And then there's that 1%
1%.
that is just makes it miserable for everybody. So we after some real soul searching, we changed our business model and we did away with custom cakes like Mickey Mouse spinning on top of an earth, something like that, just crazy. And we did
Johnny
away,
surfing and the side of the Bahamas with a plane overhead
yeah,
saying,
yep,
"Good
yep,
job, buddy."
all of that. So we decided to do away with that and do away with wedding cakes. With the one caveat is we work with one wedding coordinator that we love. Everything is always as it's supposed to be. We've never had a single problem with delivery. And you know how it is. When you get someplace to make a delivery and they don't even have the table set up
Oh,
yet,
and it's
the
100
florist
degrees
hasn't been
outside.
there. Yeah, yeah.
There's no
Or the floor
table.
no, yes, exactly. Or the florist hasn't been there for the flowers and so it just messes up your whole day. And we just uh, I just took a leap of faith that we were going to make it work. It was cutting out a big chunk of our income. Um, but we're managing. We are managing without that. That one wedding coordinator, she takes 12 to 14 weddings a year, and that's all we do. Unless you are the sibling of somebody we already did a wedding cake for, then we do that. So it's totally changed. There's like zero stress around the bakery now. And it was the best move. The best move I've ever made. It was wonderful.
Well,
That kind of brings us up to date.
that's awesome. So now you have the new restaurant was rebuilt, right? Right
Yes,
after. I
yes.
remember that. We've known each other for a while.
We have. I
Wow.
was looking at some emails. I think we go back to like 2010.
I know. Oh my God. We're like the
I know.
bakery posse.
Yeah,
We really should make a bakery posse.
we should. Let's do it.
Yeah, because we like each other. We love each other. And
Yeah.
we're cool. And I was telling Marlene this, that what's amazing is that when that whole thing, when we witnessed when your restaurant burnt down and all of that, and all of us were just like, oh my gosh, what's going on? How's it going? It was it's these like milestone things like that you get to witness as
Yeah.
fellow bakery owners. And I'm so glad that you're out of that and that you're not doing what you don't want to do.
That is exactly right. I mean, I think COVID gave a lot of people permission to scale back their lives and not feel bad about it, and get to the point that, I can't worry about what everybody else thinks anymore. I've got to do what's best for me and my family. And now I have grandkids. So, that's a big deal.
Oh my gosh. And so other than like you spend a lot of time, do you watch the grandkids? Do they get to come and like play with icing, or what's
Oh, they love to come to the bakery. So my oldest one is 9, and then the youngest one is a year and a half. So the youngest one doesn't really get it. I'm looking forward to the day when the little ones figure out that not everybody's grandma owns a bakery, because you know how you are when you're a kid, and you think, oh yeah. So our youngest son manages the restaurant in Russellville, and that's about 45 minutes away. I go up there every Thursday to see their kids. And then the other 2 grandkids live about 15 minutes. They live out kind of in the country. Both my boys do. They live on some land, and they grow their vegetables, and they hunt and they fish, and it's a great way for their kids to grow up. I'm so happy for them.
and then they come to grandma's and they have like the best bakery goods, and
They
what a
do.
life. Like what a life for these kids, right? Like
Right.
I know my kids too, right? They thought, oh yeah, every kid goes to a bakery show and eats like 10 whatever, like 5 scoops of ice cream for free.
Right. Yeah, they think that's pretty cool. I think my favorite memory of my grandkids being in the bakery, my oldest grandson, who's 9, his name is Tucker, and he was probably about 3, maybe. And he had this little oblong, like Tupperware tub that we had mini M&Ms in. We keep close to the decorators because we're in a pretty tight space. Just a little bit of the different toppings that we have. Well, Tucker sees that, and it just eye level with him. So he pulls it out, opens the lid, and M&Ms went everywhere. I mean, we have a hardwood floor in the retail section. Well, they went scooting across the hardwood floor, and then we were back in the bakery section, which is actually a commercial grade linoleum. It works out very well, so easy to keep clean, which is, another one of those things that you don't think about. But I have a picture of him, and he's looking up like, did anybody see that? Am I going to get away with this?
And he eats off the floor.
Oh, yeah. 5-second rule. What do kids know? But
That's
yes,
awesome.
it's good. So good to have them in there. It's really fun. And all of my employees love them. So it's, even if they're coming there and they're being stinkers, the girls are just like, oh, you're so cute. And I'm like, no, they're being stinkers. But it's fun. It's
I
fun.
remember when my little son, who's now 19, when he was
Yeah.
little and he saw like, oh, there's a new person in the front. So I remember him telling one of my new employee, like, my mom is the owner. She says I can always have what I want. He must have been 5. And I was like, what a little stinker. So Patty,
That's
what's your
great.
next?
That is great.
What do you plan on next? What's coming up? I know you were the president of the Retail Bakers of America for a bit.
During COVID,
And
yes.
how was
Yeah.
that?
So um one thing I left out is we opened another bakery
Oh,
where our commercial kitchen is, and it's in our downtown area. We have a super cute downtown where I live. Um, and we opened that right before COVID, like 3 months before COVID hit.
oh boy.
And so it's funny. It's a cute little spot. It's so dark behind me. I don't know why. Maybe with the sun coming in, because I'm sitting at the bar overlooking the street right now.
Well, you look beautiful and lighted. Beautiful.
Oh, well, yeah. Hey,
That's all that matters.
it was hair day today. So, she actually fixed my hair, but there we go.
Beautiful.
Um, but so we opened this spot. We've got about 6,000 square feet here. Most of it is kitchen and refrigeration and storage. So
Yes.
we have a small, more like a European patisserie up front. Everything here, it's all scratch laminated dough.
Nice.
It's really fun stuff. And so it's kind of a neat little spot to come hang out. But during COVID, we would be open and then we would be closed because you remember those early days of COVID,
Yeah.
somebody got COVID and you had to shut down. And then
Yeah.
as things went on, well, we were pulling employees from this downtown location to go over to the other location,
Yeah.
just so we could keep the doors open. The other location is our much busier location, but just to keep the doors open. And it was tough because I feel like people got a little bummed of, oh yeah, they're open. No, they're closed again.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing the business steadily just every week picking back up now that people are not so paranoid about being out. And then, I saw you in Anaheim last week. My husband brought COVID home from California. So it's certainly not gone, but it's not so fearful anymore as it
Yeah.
was.
It's a little bit more. Before it was like, that's it, they're gonna die. I mean,
Yes.
we just didn't know what we didn't know, right? So as a society, and I don't know. I mean, we've with a lot of our bakery friends, that COVID was like such a turning point for everybody, like making really
Yes.
key life decisions and how you want to run your life. Like, is this the kind of business I want to do? Is this the kind of life I want to live? Are these the people I want to hang out with? It was
Yes.
terrifying.
One thing I did notice a shift in our labor is I had less people wanting to work full time. And I'm talking, my pastry chefs, even them, that working full time was not as important to them
Yeah.
um, as having more quality time with their family.
Yeah.
And it's just been interesting to see how that has evolved. I'm thankful that I have a pretty loose team that's kind of all willing to step in. I don't think I have a single pastry chef except for my general manager that works full time anymore. They just don't want to.
Yeah.
And so, it works out. We just, I mean, even with my college students, I just said, tell me what you want to work. Tell me your schedule that you want to work. And that's what we're going to do. We don't do any overnight baking anymore at all. Now we have some people that choose to come in, say at 2 or 2:30. I don't know why they choose that, but they do. That everybody certainly has their own workspace. It's not because we're doing it because we don't have the space. We're blessed with space,
Right.
but the morning bakers, some will come in at 4, 5, 6. Just my deal is just tell me when you want to work, and then that's when you need to be at work.
You know what?
And
That's perfect. I mean, for a young person, that's perfect.
yeah,
That's because why? Why overwork?
why did we stress so much about, oh my God, I have to be at work at 8 o'clock? Uh, except for our front of the house people that are there to wait on customers. If somebody's 30 minutes late, just text your supervisor and say, I'm running late, or I need to leave this afternoon. My dog's got to go to the vet or whatever, just we're very, very flexible. And I think that has helped us retain a really good crew. We have
That's
a
awesome.
really good crew right now. Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
you try to get 29 people together of who's doing what, and everybody just kind of backs each other up. I mean, the pastry chefs, they're all cross trained, and so somebody else can step in and do someone else's job, maybe not as fast. I mean, I haven't made croissants in probably 6 months, maybe 8 months. It would take me 3 times as long to make
Right, right.
because I'm out of touch. I know how to do it. I just haven't been doing it. But that's okay. I've got a great crew and they're all doing it. So
And they enjoy it. So that's awesome.
yes. Yes, yes.
And I can see why people would stay like employed by you because you're so loving and you're so kind and warm. There's like
Oh, you're sweet.
really, I mean, who wants to work for somebody who's mean? Life's too short.
Life is too short. Odette, honestly, when I first opened the bakery, I was so worried about making it successful that I wore that worry on my sleeves.
Right.
And I came across as far too terse towards my employees.
Right.
And it took an employee telling me, hey, you know, this is, I mean, I know you don't mean it to come across like this, but this is how it's coming across. And that made a big difference to me.
I
I
love
mean,
that.
you're forevermore. People are people. You're going to have employees, you're going to have customers who get disgruntled, whatever, and you do all that you can do. There's only
Yeah.
so much you can do. But I really think the early days, just being so worried about making it successful
Right.
because, here was my husband in the restaurant business who had been such a huge success, still is. Um, 43 years later, still is. And
Right.
I just, I think it was a pride thing more than anything else. I just don't want to fail at this.
Yeah. Understandably so, especially since it was like a dream. When
Yeah.
you start like manifesting a dream, it's just like, oh my God, what did I do? And then you kind of move forward and but I do believe like if there's heart in it, if you put your heart in it and there's love, I think that
Yes.
always wins out, always
Yes. Yes. And not every day is going to be roses, but not every day is roses in anything.
in
I mean,
anything.
we've got to have the ups with the downs and the downs with the ups, and that's okay. But as long as like I know my team has my back. I know that. A couple of months ago, we had kind of a little kerfluffle, and I misunderstood a couple of employees. They misunderstood me, and we could have gotten really crossways, but we just sat down and talked about it. First thing we did is gave everybody a couple of days, just we're not going to discuss this. We'll sit down in a couple of days. And we did. And then it all worked out. It's just part of that, I guess, is just growing, getting older and realizing not to take yourself so seriously.
Yes.
I mean, gosh, lessons that I've learned, I wish that I knew forever
Oh, and
ago.
that's my last question, by the way.
Yeah.
Before I tell everybody to visit your website, it's amazing. It's pattycakesbakery.com. Like if you could talk to your younger self or give her advice, what would you give? Or what would you say?
So, I've mentioned a couple of times how important my grandmother was in my life. And I mean, she practically raised me, and she was just such a loving but stern German woman. She had breast cancer and had been very ill. And when she died, I was not with her, but some of my family members were. And they said when she took her last breath, she just said, "It didn't have to be this hard." Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome? What a great lesson. And we make it harder than it has to be. We do.
Oh, we
So
do.
that's
We
just kind of
absolutely do.
has been my mantra. It doesn't have to be this hard. So let's figure out how to make it easier on people than you had it coming up. That's
Oh
why
my
I want
God.
people that are new in the bakeries. I love to support local people coming in and opening bakeries. Yes, they're competition, but there's enough business for everybody. And they are not doing the same things that we're doing. But I wish I'd had somebody to take my hand and say, okay, you're going to lose a bunch of money if you do this. Now, I could have made the decision to still pursue that and lost money.
Yes.
Or I could have said, thank you very much. I appreciate the reasons you gave me, and I'm not going to go down that path. It's one of the two. But I wish that I had had more knowledge about food service before I went into it.
Well, now we know.
Now we know. And it doesn't have to be this hard.
And it doesn't have to be this hard. That's so awesome. Well, thank you, Patti. I'm so
Thanks,
glad
Odette.
to have you on my podcast.
It's
Thank
good
you
to see
so
your
much.
face too.
Good to see your face. And my friend, I hope we see each other again. Maybe you could come visit me here in Tacoma, and I'll go visit you in Conway.
Do it. We'll do that.
We'll have
I'll
to
see
have
you
more.
soon.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Odette.
Thanks for listening to the Celebrity Gourmet Podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.